Okay, so it's not every day that you are being broadcasted on the Chinese national television and take a picture with the Minister of Civil Affairs of the People's Republic of China. So let me explain. It's 2009 and our family, just like many other families all over the world who adopted a baby or child from China, got a very unexpected letter in their mail. A letter that would come from the other side of the world, from the orphanage, the place where I and other adoptees are from. And inside this letter was this invitation, asking us to come and celebrate the move to a new location and new building of the orphanage, and much more. And so we did. And looking back, it's a shame that I was just 11 years old and couldn't really comprehend everything that was going on, because this trip was definitely not your ordinary holiday trip. Looking back, it was definitely one of the most crazy experiences I ever had, in a good way, but also in a not that good way. And let me tell you why. Let's start with the highlights of this trip. Well, first of all, we got the chance to meet the other international adoptees, which was really cool. We met adoptees from Australia, from America, the UK, from Sweden. The trip was organized by our own orphanage, as well as the Chinese adoption service, and they organized several tours with our own guides. We went to Tiananmen Square. We visited the Forbidden City in Beijing. We walked on the Great Wall of China. And we even saw pandas. We got to learn how to make dumplings. We learned how to write Chinese characters. And we were almost constantly surrounded by camera crew as they would broadcast our special visit on national television. And at one point I even got interviewed by them.
Netherlands. Holland, do you mean? Okay, you speak English?
No.
Okay, 他也是荷兰来的，然后我拿的包。
Ja, iedereen ziet er zo arm uit en ziet er zo zielig uit en als ze geen geld hebben. En hier lopen honden en katten, ja, zwaar honden en katten op de straat. Dat is wel zielig.
She is very
And every time we would move on the road, there would be these police cars who would lead us. And we were basically treated like celebrities. We were even an item in the local newspapers. We got a huge and warm welcome when staying in our hotel. And when we visited the old orphanage we are from, we received an even bigger and warmer welcome. They performed for us several traditional shows, like this traditional lion show and these dance and music performances. We also got a tour of the new orphanage. we got to plant our own tree. And on this tree we would have our own name tag hanging to it. Another special moment which I won't forget was meeting our foster parents. And I actually don't have footage of that, and that's fine because this was a pretty emotional and personal moment. But not necessarily for me, but rather for the foster parent. And in my case it would be my foster grandma, because my foster mom couldn't come because of work. And I remember very well the moment this old grandma saw me, when she hugged me so tight, said a lot of things I couldn't really understand, and when she cried. And all I thought at that moment was, oh my god, she has a golden tooth. Yep, that was my 11-year-old brain not really understanding at the time how special this moment was. But although at the time I didn't understand it, it was still special. Especially when our translator told us how I was like when I was a baby. That she said that I always liked to play around with the chickens and the dogs in their backyard. And that she would never in her life thought that she would ever see me again. And looking back, I am grateful for her and for her love. I am grateful for the many foster parents, because these people are basically heroes. But there were also moments where I perfectly knew something felt off, and that would be when we visited our old orphanage. When we got to meet the children who didn't get adopted, when we got to see their living conditions, and when we got to see how many babies were still living there. Because China at that time was still developing, and the one-child policy still existed. It was only back in 2015 this law got abolished. And it was difficult to see how many babies and children were still living there. And I remember very well feeling uncomfortable, feeling emotions of shame, guilt, and just confusion. And I'm not really sure if the organizers thought this through, but looking back, I don't think it was their responsible to show us. Because for me, it was basically a reality check of how I could end up. And I know it's the reality, but to be honest, this experience was low-key traumatizing. I remember when our trip came to an end and we came back home, I had this weird feeling of missing China, missing home. But I also kept thinking about those children and those babies who didn't get adopted. And I started to develop these feelings of guilt and shame. Why did I get the chance to be adopted and live this much more wealthier life? Why me? Why did I deserve to be adopted instead of those babies and children who were still left behind? And to question this only made me feel worse, because it would mean that I wouldn't be grateful for the life that I was given. It was basically a lot of complicated emotions and thoughts for an 11-year-old. But still, this trip is something I will forever be grateful for, because it taught me so much. Would I ever go back to China and see the place where I am from and visit the orphanage? Yes, I would. But with a different point of view and a better understanding of what I am seeing and experiencing. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and please don't forget to subscribe and comment and like my video. It would mean a lot to me. I hope to see you next time in the next video. Bye!